So what is Treasury stock and how should we account for it? Right, Treasury stock is a contra shareholders' equity, has a debit balance. It shows up on the equity section of the balance sheet if a company has it, and it occurs when a company buys back its own shares. Now, why? Why would a company buy back its own shares? Well, it's a supply and demand kind of thing. If there are fewer shares out in circulation with investors, it drives up the stock price. That might be one reason. Sometimes shares are needed for stock compensation plans. When employees are able to buy shares at discounted prices, sometimes the company doesn't want to keep issuing more shares because then it will have sort of what we would refer to as a dilutive effect. It's watering down the value of the stock. So perhaps they'll just buy back some to be able to give it to their employees. And sometimes, sort of like you've seen in the movies, there may be a takeover attempt. And by buying up the shares, it drives up the price. It also worsens the balance sheet for the company that's doing the buying of the shares because they're not going to have as much cash on their balance sheet. So there's several reasons. Our bigger concern in the course is how are we going to record the transactions. So the key point is to remember that Treasury stock is recorded at cost. And you have to remember that it's a reduction to shareholders' equity. It's a contra equity account. It's not an asset account. It's a contra shareholders' equity account. So let's look at an example. What if the company buys back 100 shares of its $1 par value stock at a price of $20? How should they record this transaction, right? And they're buying back shares of their own stock. Well, they're going to debit Treasury stock and they're going to credit cash for the 100 shares at a cost of $20 a share, which is $2,000. The par value was a little bit of bait. We don't care. We're going to record Treasury stock at cost, and what we put in at cost, later on we're going to take out at cost if we actually reissue any of the shares. So what if we do reissue some shares? What if we reissue all of them at a new market price of $22? So when we bought them back, we only had to pay $20. And now the market price has risen, it's $22, and we are putting the shares back out in the marketplace. Now we're going to get $22 a share. We're going to debit cash for $2,200, the 100 shares times $22. We're going to credit Treasury stock for only $2,000, goes in at cost, comes out at cost, and that leaves us missing a credit for $200, which is your usual plug for stock transactions. Credit additional paid-in capital, but dash Treasury so that we'll note that it was because we had Treasury share activity, and we're going to plug the difference for $200. Now, what if we had reissued those shares at a price that was much lower, at $15 a share? Then we would have only gotten $1,500 of cash, and we would have still had to credit Treasury stock for $2,000, right? In at cost, out at cost. And now we have an entry that doesn't balance. Well, the plug still goes to additional paid-in capital for Treasury stock, but in this case we would have needed a debit, so it's a reducing effect on our overall shareholders' equity. And that's how, in sort of the basics of recording Treasury stock transactions.